Hello, and welcome to the KBA Clarinet tutorial. Congratulations on making the mid-level honor band. I'm excited to help you out with some clarinet things today. First, my name is Mrs. Volkman. I teach in Wichita at Robinson Middle School, and clarinet is my primary instrument. So today I'm just going to go through each of the pieces and just tackle some of the hard spots with you. You can stop and rewind and replay things as much as you need. But make sure you have a pencil because we're going to mark quite a few things that are tricky in here. So if you need to pause and grab one, that'd be great. We're going to start with the El Camino de Anaheim. Definitely not good at pronouncing things. But this is by your clinician, Steve Graves. So you're absolutely going to love this piece, love working with him and all the things. So the very first thing I'd like for you to do is maybe just write a rough tempo. Of course, when we meet Steve Graves, he can push and pull that tempo however, but we're going to go 120. So grab your pencil, go to the top of that page and write a quarter note equals 120. And again, that's just kind of a starting tempo so you know where to get there. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the rhythm. There is a lot of eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, that short, long, or you might be counting it one and three, or one te, three. But here's your tempo. I'm going to go ahead and play the first four measures just so you can kind of hear how that goes. And I believe I held the quarter note a little too long in measure one, so I'm going to try it one more time for you. Why don't you join me? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now the rhythms in this one should be fairly simple, pretty straightforward, as long as you can have that one and three, or that one te, three. You should be fine. Just make sure that it's a short staccato eighth note, an accented quarter note, and then another staccato eighth note. The rest is pretty simple. Okay, I now want you to pick up that pencil again and just make sure that you circle the flat sign in the key signature at the very beginning. We have all things flat in this song, and there are quite a few. So the very first flat that shows up is in measure 8. So if you go to measure 8, mark that first flat with a B flat sign. I've marked mine. And just know that any other B's in the song, that's the middle line there, is going to be a B flat. Just to review B flat, I'm sure you already know this one. It's just your register key and the A key in the front. It is kind of my least favorite note on the clarinet because it always sounds kind of muffly, but that's just the note. And so that is the B flat that you're going to hear. I'm going to go ahead now and play from measure 5 all the way until the first ending. Feel free to play along with me, rewind, repeat, all the things. 120. Here's measure 5. 1, 2, ready. Pretty easy. And then the last thing I'm going to have you do with that section is grab your pencil again, go to the first ending, and draw yourself just like a little slash after the eighth note, because you're going to want to play that nice and short. So if you can see, I kind of put a little slash after that eighth note. Just to remind me, don't hang over. You don't want to be the one clarinet player that lets it play too long. Everything else in this piece should be pretty self-explanatory. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play the one other tricky section, and that's where the melody changes at measure 22. I'm going to add that little quarter note before because that's actually a pickup note. So at measure 22, if you look right here, there's a little A quarter note before. That's actually a pickup note. So I'm going to start on that one. Feel free to play along. Here is the pickup to 22. 1, 2. And so on and so forth. because the other pieces are so much harder than this one, we're going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so I had to do a little video editing because now you're not all on the same parts. So this is Destiny Fanfare for second clarinet. There are two different parts in this piece, which makes it very interesting and cool. And congrats on the second part because it's the coolest, because it's the low pretty stuff. It has all the harmony. So this is Destiny Fanfare for second clarinet. Okay, so first and foremost, a lot of simple stuff here. There's like 1 million Fs, lots of Gs, and there's a few accidentals, but nothing too crazy. Look at the key signature. If you need to circle it, grab your pencil. There's B flats. There's actually not a ton. There's some high B flats in here, but not too bad. We're going to go ahead and start with the articulation in the beginning. We'll just kind of go quickly because this isn't a really difficult song. The very beginning, you have 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. When you have it over and over again, make sure that you're tonguing the first 2 eighth notes, tia ta, right? So that you're really clear, putting your tongue on the second F. Now this is set to 138. So I'm going to go ahead and start a metronome. Feel free to join me, or you can pause, practice it with your own metronome, but I would practice it with a metronome so you're used to when you need to breathe and things like that. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go past the next part. At 14, it's pretty simple. Go to measure 20. Note that that's an F sharp, and there's actually 2 F sharps in that measure. So again, that's measure 20. And if you need to mark the second F sharp, you can. They're both F sharps in only measure 20. And then in 21, there's a little reminder that says, hey, that's F natural. It's just a reminder. My air conditioning just kicked on, so I'm sorry if that makes an annoying sound. Now, I do want to talk about measure 23. You have an E flat, and if it's been a minute since you've busted out the fingering chart, you should, but just as a review, 23 is E flat. And it's actually very tricky because it's not E with a side key. E flat actually has the second finger down also, and then you use this bottom side key here, and that's how you play your E flat. And I actually would practice going, the note before is a G, so go G, E flat, and then maybe go to F, since that's your next note, so you're kind of surrounding it. G, E flat, F. Go ahead and try that. And I would just make sure that you have the right E flat again. Should sound like this. Make sure you got a flat chin. You got it. Easy peasy. I do want to talk about the weird notation at 27. This is actually very common to see in music. If you've never seen it, 27, you have a staccato, and you have this like accent right underneath it. I know you can look at your own music, but it's basically the same as a marcato. So if you're used to like a V or maybe an upside down V, you make it short and accented. That's all. So a little extra oomph there, and you're good. I do want to mark the very first B flat in the song, and that doesn't happen until measure 31. So if you grab your pencil, go to 31, mark that as B flat. Remember, B flat, again, is just register key, A key, bada bing, you're done. And then 31, you also want to do this. This is super important, actually. 31 is like a clarinet feature. So go ahead and put a little star next to a 31 and put clarinet. Cool. Cool. 31. I do want to play through this with you, and I actually want to go all the way to 42. So we're going to play together, or you can just listen and finger along. 31, all the way to 42. This is a very melodic line. It's very important for you to know. It's probably one of the most important parts that you have in a song. 138. Might as well do it up to tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. I messed up on the end, but I'm not going to stop the video. I don't know what I was thinking about the air conditioner still. Here's 39. 1 and a 1, 2, ready. There it is. Okay, so that's basically everything I wanted to cover. Just make sure you're looking at accents and make sure you're playing B flats. The very last thing I'm going to leave you with is the trill. And I'm so sorry I made a mistake earlier. I feel really guilty, but I'm not going to go back and do the video because that's crazy. Measure 61 is an F. And you're going to trill, and this is going to feel real silly. You trill up to a G, so you're going to go F to G. So start on the F, and then just move your thumb. Now, a lot of people don't make a full connection. Make sure you make a full connection, meaning like don't like halfway press it down and just like tickle it. Like you have to actually press it all the way down. That way you can get a very clear F to G trill. And this is going to be weird and maybe challenging. You have to do that for 8 counts. It's not the breath that you're going to run out of. It's just the fact that you have to try to count while you're trilling. So I would suggest practicing that. So anyway, that's that. Thanks. Okay, so this is Softly Speaks the Night for Clarinet 2. Softly Speaks the Night for Clarinet 2. And I can go kind of quickly through this. There's a lot of slurs to watch out for, but I'm sure you can handle that. There are some lower notes I did want to check. But let's go ahead and mark just a few things. Okay, right off the bat, you should know the whole first half, all the way down to 35, so really over half the piece, is B naturals, middle finger B, right? So go to measure 4 and put a big old natural sign. Again, that's measure 4, that the second note, because it's an A, and then there's a B. The B is natural, and if you play a B flat, it will ruin it. And it's such a beautiful piece. So make sure that you've marked that, and then you may want to just pause the video and go through and mark all of them. Like you can highlight them, you can draw the natural sign. I don't like circling because you might forget what you circled it for and be like, oh, after I played the wrong note. But you have some in measure 4, you have a lot in measure 8, you have 1 hiding in measure 10. So there's a lot there. The only thing you hear is just making sure you have your tongue in place, and you should be good. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start. I have my metronome set to 76 because that's the tempo. We're gonna start from the beginning, and I think I'm just gonna go to 13. So if you want to play along, feel free. If you wanna just finger along and listen, my audio is weird, so sorry about that. 1, 2, ready. Pretty easy, pretty fun. It's beautiful. And you have the nice low part again, so that's wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna have you write a couple of things in your music, so grab your pencil. We love the pencil. At measure 13, write the word count. Just trust me, it will help. At measure 17, write the word count, but bigger, because this is a tricky part to like get into afterwards. So at 17, write count, and then your little gift from me is at measure. I'm so sorry for the weird cutoff. My laptop restarted just mid-recording. What I was saying is, gift is at measure 20, you can write the word snare in at measure 20, because that's actually where the snare drum comes in. And that will be like a kind of a reassurance that you're in the right spot. So if you're counting at 17, you count 3 measures, and then you hear the snare at 20, you know you're on the right track. So just be careful there. We're going to go ahead and mark a few things. Your first high B flat is at 31, so maybe circle 31. It does have a flat sign there, and it's an accidental. Remember, it's just register and the Yankee. But everything else should still be natural. So there's a lot of naturals floating around and hiding. Well, in this section, there's really only one at 26, but still be careful of them. And I'm going to play from 21 all the way until 35. 21 to 35. 1, 2. So I paused there because I think there's some things to mark. If you haven't already, go to 33, find the RIT, and then mark that, because it is a retardando. So it means to gradually slow down. You'll just want to, you could write down like look up, watch, you can draw little eyeglasses. But it is going to slow down, so Steve Graves will help you with that. And then actually, the key change happens at the end of that line. So at the end of, such a wobbly stand, at the end of 34, circle that key change, and then just know, maybe you could circle it again at 35. Now we are all on B flats, and there's actually quite a few. So 35, you have 2 B flats. 37 is a B flat. 39 has a B flat. 40, 41, 44, 47 all have B flats. So yeah, just be careful there. And then I would also be kind of careful, because at the very end of this piece, you do have a really long A, and so you might want to do the resonance fingering. You may want to put, like when you're playing A at the end, you may want to go ahead and put your 3 fingers down, and it might help bring that pitch in tune. If it sounds worse, definitely don't do it. But I would experiment with it a little bit, because it might be wonderful. You might love it the most. But I would also go online, type in Google Softly Speaks the Night by Carol Burton Chambers. I believe they even have a direct link to YouTube. It's a professional recording, and you should be able to listen to the whole thing. And it's going to be a little bit more moving. You'll understand a little bit more. You'll understand why those B's are so important. And then you should be good to go. So there is Softly Speaks the Night. Okay, on to the hard piece now. All right, so we are now on Dark Ride, and I know the clarinet parts are split 1 and 2, but they're actually super similar, and the stuff I wanted to go over in them is the same. So we're just going to do both parts at the same time. You'll be able to follow, no problem. So this is Dark Ride. Now, the first part of this, the first 11 measures, are going to be mysterious and creepy. And if you haven't heard this pause the video, go onto the internets, type in Dark Ride by Randall Standridge. Oh, you're going to love it. It's so fun. It's so hard. The clarinet part is wicked, so you're going to love it. It's all things exciting. It definitely makes up for some of the pieces earlier that were maybe slow and more simple technically. This one is fun. Okay, we're going to go through all things low notes because both first and second clarinet part both have a lot of low stuff. Let's just start right at measure 3 and dive in. Before we play a first note, we see the first note. We always check the key signature. It has one sharp sign, and since it's on the top line, that's the F line. So it means any F, high, mid, low, they're all F sharp. So you may want to take your pencil, circle that, or write all F sharps. The only Fs that will be natural are the ones that specifically say F natural. Everything else is going to be F sharps. Now at measure 3, the first note is not F. It is actually E. So it's a very low E. If you want to take your pencil and write, that's a low E, you can. The fingering for low E, if you haven't learned it, maybe you have, it's kind of like a high B, but without the register key. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, no register because it's low. And then it's going to be this bottom pinky here and this long key here. Again, this is a very important note. It's the lowest note on the clarinet. Everything comes out the bell, so it's pretty cool. Again, let's check your low E. And at any point in this, feel free to stop because you may need to pause, rewind. Okay, right from the get-go, Randall Standridge is giving us a challenge. We have low E, and then we have a B natural because there's no flat in the key signature, so it's a middle one. So low E, B. And you have an A sharp. A sharp is also known as B flat. So if you think B flat is first, some of you may know this little forked fingering. It's not the greatest here. You might have to just flip. I think I just flip back and forth between the B and the A sharp. So the first 4 notes, E, B, A sharp, which is B flat, and then back to B natural. So it'll sound like this. You want to go ahead and try it with me? Ready, and that's just the first half of the phrase. And then you have a C, and then in measure 4, after the C, it's B natural, B flat / A sharp, and then back to B natural, and then low E. So you're kind of just placing them back, climbing up, climbing back down. Gonna try it with me. 72 is our tempo. Ready. Keep going. And then we get into the fast section. Again, if you haven't listened to it, you need to go listen to it. It's really cool. Pencils. I would just go through and mark all of it. I know it's silly, but it'll save you so much heartache than having to remember it. Mark the natural sign. Mark the B flat over the A sharp. So this is what I did on mine. You don't have to mark it this way. This is the first part, but it's the same in both parts. E, see how I put an E there? It might look like a 3, I'm sorry. Natural sign, a B flat, a natural sign. I put B flat over the A sharp because that's how my brain works. And then another natural sign, and then another E. I mean, it's can't get much clearer than that, right? So that you know exactly what to do. And then just repeat. So the first 4 measures that you play, they repeat right afterwards. So the only difference is at measure 8, instead of playing a C and a B natural, you play a D and a C. So it's not that much difference. Okay, now let's go to measure 11. Boom, we hit the ground running. It's 160. It's fast and furious. We're going to go slow. You just work on speed on your own. The first note is an F, but because key signature said all the Fs are sharp, take your pencil, put a sharp sign next to the F at 11. That will be super important. Now, the F sharp, I play the F sharp with my right pinky down here. So if you're, got all the fingers down, you're actually the one on the bottom shelf. So not this top shelf, but the bottom shelf, and not the one far away, but the one closest to your mouth on the bottom shelf. So it's here. And F sharp sounds like this. You can play it with this pinky on the other side. I like it with my right pinky. There's nothing in the music says you have to do it one way or the other, so that can be your choice. So if you want to flip open a fingering book, decide which F sharp, or if you already play F sharp and you're like, I know which one I like, maybe just take your pencil though and put like an R or an L above it. Be ready to help your neighbors at KBA, because what if they didn't watch the tutorial? And what if they don't know F sharp? Be ready to help them. So we do have the F sharp, the A, the C, and then in the first part clarinet we have D sharp, also known as E flat. So they split one note, but that's different, the only difference. So it sounds like this at 11. Or if you're on a second clarinet. And then the second clarinet actually does play the D sharp, which is again the same as E flat, 1-2 side key. We talked about it earlier. And then the first clarinet part plays the F sharp at 13. Oh, and don't forget to mark those. Make sure you practice what note to play at 13, because D sharp in the second, kind of tricky. You just got to remember if you're on the first clarinet part at 13, it's an F sharp. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the hard part at 19. If you didn't listen to it, but you should. 19 is the clarinet feature, and it's so cool. It sounds spooky and kind of Halloween-y. I don't know if that was the right word to say, but I think it's Halloween-y. And it has a lot of stuff going on. So take your pencil, put a big star next to 19. The first time through at 19 is just clarinets, and they put you all in the same part so you can like be magical. And then the second time through 19, more of the band joins you. So just enjoy that first time because it's all you. I would say go slow and say your note names. You can say them with me. We're going to start at 19. That low note is the same note from measure 3. It's a low E. Remember, it's both pinkies down. You really only need this top one. And so what I'm going to do is see how like you could just use the left one for the low E. I'm actually going to prep my right hand down here for this F sharp so that I go E, F sharp. And then the next note is just a G and then an A. So again, if you bring that this one down, that's your low E. Then after that low, and then you come back here, remember it's bottom shelf, close to your mouth. That's your F sharp again. And you don't want to play F natural because it's not right. And then you have a G and an A. So E, F sharp, G, A. Pause the video, try it a few billion times. Make sure you're on F sharp. If you play an F, it's not spooky. You want that F sharp because it's extra cool. So yeah, feel free to pause. Measure 20, you might want to mark this. Measure 20 is a B natural, da, 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 da. And that is very important, that long, short, short, long. You could talk articulations once you get your fingers figured out. B, middle finger, C, B. And then we learned earlier that an A sharp at 21 is B flat. So this is kind of tricky because you're going to flip super fast. A sharp, B natural, back to A sharp. So da, 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 which is tricky. So if you go through those three measures, E, F sharp, G, A, B, B, C, B, A sharp, B, A sharp. And then you have a natural, they marked it, that's helpful. A, B natural in measure 22, and then back to A, F sharp. And the A to F sharp, you may want to practice it. Sometimes I throw it in my left hand, sometimes I put it in my right, just make a decision, and then practice it the same way every time. I'm going to go ahead and play those 4 measures. Here's 19, super slow. 1, 2, 19, and... And then I stopped at the E at 23. So I would actually like pause this video now and go back and play it a lot. Maybe play with me, play by myself. Okay, so now we're at 23. It's very similar. The only difference is if you look at 25 versus 21, you add an F sharp. I would mark that it's an F sharp. So again, at 25, that would be the same thing as 21, except for instead of a half note A, you just play an F sharp. And then you do need to practice your little first and second ending, going B natural, and this is kind of cool because it's just a regular A, there's no sharp sign. So B natural, A, G, F sharp, and then E. And that's really fun to do. I'd pause it and try that a few times. B, A, G, F sharp. I'm going to play 19 all the way through the first ending, and this is your important part. Ready? 1, 2, 19, and... So that's it. I did not mention this one little thing, and it is important to know. If you go to measure 25, I didn't mention it earlier, but it's actually an A natural, the third note. So if you go 25, you have A sharp, B natural, A natural. So you'd have A sharp, B natural, then A natural, and that's the part that you might mess up. Then you go to F sharp. So that one's a little tricky. Again, if you're at 25, A sharp, B natural, A natural, and then you go to the F sharp before you go ya-da-da-da-da. It does go fast. Remember, 160 is pretty quick. I don't even think I've tried it yet that fast. Right? So it can be tricky to have those patterns that fast. Just take them in little chunks, like the end part. And that should be good. But I would go ahead and practice that a billion times because you're the most important people there. And then the second time through, you'll have the band join you. So the first time through at 19, it's you. Second time, it's band. Okay, couple quick things to just mark. At 28, actually, can we back up? Can you just go through 19 section? And I'm just marking all those as F sharp. Every F. So there's an F sharp in measure 19. And there's one in 22 at the end. There's one in 23. There's one in 25. There's one in 26. And there's one in 27. So there's a lot of F sharps. Okay, now moving on. 28, you might just want to put in parentheses that this is where the brass plays. So if you feel overwhelmed, you got lost in the mayhem, 28 is brass. So the brass is going to have a lot of melody stuff there. Very cool. you will want to count because you have to come in at 34. And then at 35, you take that F, that forte piano, and you turn it into a trill. And we talked about this earlier in one of the videos. But the trill, you start on the note that's trilled. So this is an F. And then you're going to go back and forth from F to the note higher in the key signature. So it wouldn't be like a G sharp. It'd be just a G. So F to G. And it will sound like this. Not bad. And then I would just make sure that you count because it's tricky to lose your spot. At 36, I marked this kind of weird. But at 36, you have a lot of F sharps. And so just to remind you that they're all the F sharp, their first finger at 36, I just put like an F and then a sharp sign and then an arrow, just reminding me that like, hey, these are all. And then you see how I circled this whole measure? That's measure 39. 39. I circled the whole thing because this is F natural. And so I think it's really important to know that, hey, you're playing F sharps, and then when you hit that measure, don't forget they're F natural. I circle the whole measure, that way my brain goes just here. And then they go back to F sharps. So there's a lot of long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short, tia, tia, ta, da, 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 da. So I would go through that articulation just a little bit. If you want to say articulations with me, here's what it sounds like at 36. Da, 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 dia, dia, da, 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 da. Da 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 dia dia da 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 da. And so it's not really that complicated if you remember the F sharps and then the F natural at 39. But you have an E sharp at 42. And that's one thing that I really like is I like the E sharp. Now the second clarinet part does. I move my parts. The second clarinet part has this as well, so pay attention here. The E sharp is just an F. So if you want to just take your pencil and put F. 42, E sharp, it's F. This is another name for an E sharp is an F, such as thumb. So in that measure, 42, you would have a half note F sharp, first finger. Then you go to thumb, for the E sharp because it was an F. Then you go back to F sharp, it would sound like this. Yeah? Okay. I'm not going to go as fast. I'm going to take it down to about 120. And I'm going to play at 36. Feel free to join, finger along, pause, restart, practice on your own as much as you need. Here's 36. 1, 2, ready. And I just go back and practice that until it feels good. It's not incredibly tricky. Moving on, here's something that will be a little intimidating. Find measure 48. Do you see the word A-C-C-E-L? That's at a cello rondo. So starting at 48, wherever the composer wants to go, conductor wants to go, you're going to follow him. So you're going to watch Steve Graves because he's the man. And you're going to follow along, and he may get slowly faster and faster. You don't control that. You just watch the director. If you've never done a cello rondo, he might start here. And he may get quicker, Who knows? He may go crazy. But the goal wouldn't be to go insanely fast because you want to stop at 52, like at the top of that tempo being 172. So you're only going up 12 clicks. But 52 is exactly the same, more or less, as 36. The ending is a little different, goes up to a G, but otherwise it's the same. We've already gone over the D sharps. So you should be good there. Now, at 58, it's not actually that hard. It just looks hard. It's just the counting 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So if you have a rest, ready and a rest, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And if they could have put a quarter note and put a staccato underneath it, and it probably would have been just fine. But it's an eighth note, and it's just on beat 2. da dee da, da dee da. I'm singing it wrong, but here's what it sounds like. And that's it. You want to try with me? Here's 58. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Ready, and then if you keep going, you have a. Ooh, I played it F natural. Easy enough. And then at the very end of this piece, you're going to have a trill, and it's on a B, and it's B natural. So you're trilling here, but you're going to trill up to the next note in the key signature. So you're going to trill to a C. So you're just going to go back and forth between B and C. It should sound like this. Pretty easy. And then you should be good. I would take this whole thing. I would start at 11 and try it at 100. And then go 110, maybe, if you're ready. And then maybe 120. And just slowly work yourself up. But you want to know it really well. You don't need to know it fast necessarily. You need to know it really well. You can get fast later. But until you get your fingers down, I would just go nice and slow. Cruise along in a creepy Halloween-y vibe. Boom, 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 boom. A sharp. Ba, 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 ba. And then slowly work it up. And I know you don't want to hear that, but it really is the easiest way to practice it till you feel good. And then whenever we put it together, it'll sound wonderful. But so that should be at least enough to get you started with Dark Ride. Make sure you go listen to all these recordings. They're all available online. Just go into Google or something, type in the title and then the composer, and then it'll send you links. There'll be many links where you can listen to a recording. Some are on JW Pepper, some are on YouTube. But you should be able to find everything, and yeah. And I will be there at KBA. I'm very excited. I'm one of the kind of assistants throughout the day, so you'll see me walking around. I'm excited to see all you clarinet peeps. So congratulations again. I'm really excited to meet all of you, and yeah, thanks for watching my tutorials. Bye.